Our next clip comes from a father who insists his baby monitor picked up something he simply cannot explain. The incident occurred on the evening of December 20th, 2023. At around 9 p.m., he and his wife were spending some time playing with their two children before putting them to bed. This particular night, something happened that the father still has no rational answer for. He managed to capture the footage on his phone. See for yourself what unfolded.
If I fall from, I smell the blood of children.
I know, but we're downstairs.
Heart attack here.
Oh, this is stressing me out.
You're stressed out.
What?
Assuming it was his wife or one of the kids tucked away in the closet, he stood there waiting for someone to emerge. But as it turned out, there was nobody in there at all. Naturally, the father was completely shaken. He claims that just moments before the door swung open, he heard a voice coming from inside. Revisiting the footage now, he at least has some confirmation that he wasn't imagining things. Something was genuinely there to be heard. The family still has no clear explanation for what took place, though plenty of people in the comments have weighed in with their belief that the whole thing was supernatural in nature. Whatever the truth may be, the family has made a firm decision to keep that closet door locked from now on. As far as they're concerned, they'd much rather put this behind them and never have to deal with anything like it again. Take a careful look at this footage captured in 1966 during a burial service at a Ballagmore cemetery. Pay attention to the strange figure that seems to dart through the background. The banshee is considered a harbinger of death. Those who claim to have encountered one describe a small elderly woman draped in black or a gray cloak, her hair long and white. Her cry is said to be a drawn-out, mournful wail, a chilling sound that no human being or creature could ever produce. Unsettling footage from a residential backyard security camera has been making the rounds online. The recording appears to show a pale, gaunt figure moving across the yard, its limbs strikingly elongated and completely out of proportion with any normal body.
They were turning into their driveway and they saw something in the wood line, so they checked their cameras and this thing showed up on their camera. This thing runs, jumps on this little...
The video was posted to TikTok by an account going by the name Whoa, That's Strange. In the clip, the figure moves through the space in a manner that bears no resemblance to how a person would typically walk. The homeowner insisted the figure was not human, and also stated that a second security camera captured it from an entirely different angle. When they eventually stepped outside, armed with a flashlight to investigate, the figure reportedly bolted toward a wooded area nearby and vanished without a trace.
Jumps on this little wall right here and then runs away into the woods. This thing was captured not only on her backyard camera, but on the side yard camera as well. And when you look at the proportions of this thing, it is not a human. I am not sure what this thing is, but it really makes me think about that.
Nobody has been able to determine with any certainty what this thing actually was. Some who watch the footage believe it could be some kind of undocumented creature, while others have drawn connections to legends surrounding so-called skinwalkers. That theory picked up momentum partly because a photograph that supposedly depicted a real skinwalker had gone viral years before, and a lot of viewers feel there's a noticeable resemblance between that image and what's seen here. Just like so many incidents of this nature, no physical evidence was ever recovered, and the figure never appeared again. So what was really out there that night? A strange animal? A trick of the eye? Or something far harder to explain? Drop your thoughts below. A woman named Devon and her husband noticed something unsettling as their daughter grew older month by month. What had once been a cheerful, lively little girl began showing strange behavior, staring blankly at empty corners of the room, giggling to herself in the middle of the night, and appearing to interact with someone no one else could see. Their security camera eventually caught one of these moments, and what it recorded left Devon shaken. It's the dead of night, yet their little girl is fully awake, laughing and calling out the name Jada, not once, but twice. And here's where things get eerie. A voice can actually be heard responding with "yeah" to that name being called out. That voice belongs to Jada, the girl's older sister. The thing is, Jada passed away in 2017 at just 3 years old, and her younger sibling is only 15 months, far too young to have ever known her or even heard her name.
But I've never talked to her directly about her. She's only 15 months, so obviously I do plan to tell her about her, eventually. Show her pictures, videos, and all that. With her being only 15 months old, it's not.
The following morning, Devon decided to test something. She held up a photo of Jada, and without any prompting, her younger daughter broke into a smile and said the name Jada out loud, as if she already knew exactly who she was looking at.
I did show her a picture of Jada, and she smiled so big. I was like, Jada! Jada, and she like smiled so big. I was like, Jada. So it's just so crazy.
Devin is now fully convinced that Jada has never truly left and that she's been watching over her little sister all along. In a school located somewhere in the Philippines, rumors quickly began circulating among students about one particular classroom being haunted, all sparked by a deeply unsettling piece of footage that left everyone on edge. The video had originally been recorded through the classroom's own CCTV system by the teacher in charge. He rarely ever reviewed the camera footage, but after receiving several complaints about a student being bullied in his class, he decided to sit down and go through the recordings. That's when he came across an alert indicating motion had been detected inside the classroom, at a time when absolutely nobody should have been in the building, well after the school had closed for the night. Driven by curiosity, he pulled up the clip and was immediately met with something he wasn't prepared for. As the camera picks up movement and begins scanning the room, a hazy, mist-like shape becomes visible near the doorway. The camera appears to lock onto it, pausing and pointing directly at the blurred form just before it vanishes completely into nothing. Even so, the camera keeps sweeping across the room in response to continued motion, and if you pay close attention, that same shadowy shape seems to reappear in a completely different spot. The teacher is fully convinced that something supernatural was present in that room that evening. His only hope now is that whatever it was has moved on and won't come back to disturb the students. Whatever this thing actually is, the video you're about to see was posted to YouTube by the channel shown on screen right now. The channel is run by Mark, a musician based in the Philippines who typically uploads content centered around his music career. But several months back, he shared something completely out of the ordinary, footage he claims he sat on for close to 2 years because of just how disturbing it was. The recording was made on the night of September 2nd, 2023, following a concert in Vienna at the Kubo Festival. On the way back to their hotel, Mark and a group of friends hopped on a train and settled in for the ride. At some point along the route, he picked up on something off, a feeling that something wasn't quite right. Quietly and without drawing attention, he pulled out his phone and began filming. And here's what that camera picked up. A woman dressed in dark, morning-style clothing sits completely motionless throughout the footage. What struck viewers most deeply was how utterly vacant and lifeless her presence appeared. Afterward, Mark showed the clip to the friends who had been seated directly across from where this woman was, people he knew well. Their response, however, only deepened the mystery. They said they had no memory of anyone sitting in that spot at all. So what do you think was going on that night? Was Mark's camera capturing a genuine apparition? Or is there a rational explanation hiding somewhere in the details? That call is yours to make. When Angelos inherited the family funeral home, his daughter took over day-to-day operations herself. She occasionally posts videos to TikTok, giving her followers a raw, unfiltered glimpse into what it's actually like to work alongside the deceased. But one night at around 1 in the morning, while she was completely alone inside the building, she suddenly heard something that stopped her dead in her tracks. Just as she was putting her hair up, a chilling sound echoed through the silence from somewhere deeper in the building. The eerie noise resembled a disturbing woman's laugh at first, but over 50,000 people in the comments were convinced it sounded more like a woman weeping, as if a corpse had somehow just realized it was dead. She picked up on the sound almost instantly, and her reaction was immediate. But with nobody else present in that building, she was left with nothing but dread settling deep in her gut. A man is by himself at home when he notices the basement lights aren't working. He makes his way downstairs cautiously, not because of the darkness, but because of what the basement itself represents to him. He claims that when nobody else is around, he frequently hears the sounds of footsteps and pacing coming from down there. The man works as a gravedigger and says this kind of eerie, unsettling feeling isn't new to him, particularly after lowering caskets down into freshly dug graves. But this time, while he's doing a sweep of the basement, his camera picks up something far more disturbing.
At the moment, in the basement, I swear I keep hearing someone walk. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's kind of creepy. Laundry room still has power, so that's good. But the rest of the basement's power is completely out, which is very strange. I'm not sure what that noise was, but I don't know. I'm home alone right now, so we'll see, I guess. Look out back. No, nothing back there. I don't know. There's been a lot of strange things.
As he swings the camera toward the bathroom, a dark, shadowy figure can be seen standing completely motionless inside the bathtub. It's only there for a split second. By the time he goes back for a second look, whatever it was has completely vanished. He's convinced this footage captured something from beyond the natural world, but we'll leave that for you to decide. Was there an intruder lurking down there, or is there something else going on altogether? Paranormal investigator who goes by the name Pixie Paranormal was conducting a late-night investigation deep within an isolated forest in Sussex, England, when she recorded something that's genuinely hard to explain. See for yourself.
Can you hear them all?
That's a big ass dog.
That's a girl crying. Can you hear that, guys? Hang on. Turn the lights off for a minute, people. Turn these lights off. Turn these lights off. Hang on a minute, guys. We've got to turn these lights off. Turn the lights off. Turn that light off. Turn it off. Shh. Shh. Just sit down.
As she and her crew made their way through the pitch-black woods, unsettling cries and disembodied voices began to ring out from somewhere unknown. The sounds seemed to shift direction constantly, leaving the entire group rattled and disoriented. But the weirdness didn't end when the investigation wrapped up. Several days later, back in the comfort of her own home, Pixie began hearing loud cracking sounds coming from a mirror hanging in her room. Here's what the camera caught.
Put my mirror's cracking by itself.
What's happening? Wait, stop.
Harry, my mirror is cracking by itself.
It's cracked twice so far. Why is it cracking by itself?
Right as she started filming, new fractures crept slowly across the surface of the glass. No explanation, no obvious cause. So could something from that forest have made the journey home with her? Our next clip comes from a security camera set up inside a store, capturing a bizarre moment that has left viewers genuinely baffled. The shopkeeper made a series of odd gestures with their hands, and almost immediately after, something unexpected unfolded. A motorcycle that had been sitting near the entrance suddenly lurched forward on its own, rolling ahead until it struck a pedestrian and toppled to the ground. Some viewers were quick to suggest a rational explanation, pointing to the possibility that the bike simply lost its balance or suffered some kind of mechanical failure at that precise moment. But others couldn't get past those peculiar hand movements the shopkeeper made just before everything happened, insisting that the timing was way too suspicious to be a mere coincidence. So, where do you stand on this one? Drop your thoughts and theories in the comments, because we genuinely want to know what you make of it. Paranormal investigator named Jess Seam, who has a following on Instagram, makes his way to a completely uninhabited region of Jordan to check out an abandoned wedding venue. The whole town has been vacated, but people in the area insist that this particular building hasn't exactly been left alone. According to locals, it's been seized by violent poltergeist activity.
بسم الله أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق حصنت نفسي بلا إله إلا الله.
Jassim steps into the main hall and the vibe is unsettling from the moment he walks in. It doesn't take long before things start happening. Keep your eyes on the chair that's been propped up on one of the tables. Without any warning, it crashes to the floor entirely on its own. Jassim hurries over to check it out, but there's nothing there that could explain what moved it.
لا إله إلا الله. أحس نفسي إنه من جميع الجهات محاصر، يمين ويسار الأصوات. ركبوا سماعات يا جماعة.
As he walks away from that spot, a thunderous bang rings out from the very same location where the chair had just fallen. All at once, Jassim feels like he's not alone. He starts picking up the sound of heavy footsteps pacing across the floor directly above his head. A new fear creeps in. Maybe this isn't paranormal at all, but something even more threatening. A person concealed somewhere in the wreckage. Pay close attention to what you're about to hear. He makes his way back to the main hall, and here's where things take a turn.
بسم الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. حصنت نفسي بلا إله إلا الله. بسم الله بسم الله.
The situation escalates into something dangerous. A huge cupboard comes crashing down right in front of him. Somehow, Jassim keeps his composure, but whatever is in there isn't finished. While he's crouched over examining the fallen furniture, a deafening bang erupts at his back. One of the main doors slams shut with tremendous force. It feels as though something is deliberately trying to seal him inside. Refusing to back down, Jassim heads upstairs to confront whatever is responsible.
حصنت نفسي بلا إله إلا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله لا إله إلا الله أنا من المخ في شيء وقسما بالله إنه في شيء طار بسم الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله يا جماعة ما في مكان شوف والله العظيم ما في مكان أركب فوق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
As he reaches the upper landing, direct your attention to the left side of the frame. An object resembling a white sheet of cloth shoots across the hallway directly in his path. He freezes in his tracks. The footsteps pick back up, only now they seem to be originating from the roof itself, somewhere no living person ought to be. The banging grows relentless, pushing him to his absolute limit. Sensing that his presence is deeply unwanted, Jassim makes the call to wrap up the investigation and leave. So, was this a squatter trying to drive him out, or a hostile poltergeist that has claimed the abandoned venue as its territory? That's for you to decide. Angela Whammy is a personal trainer based in the United States who rarely uses social media, and when she does, the content has absolutely nothing to do with the paranormal or anything supernatural. But her home security system recently picked up something so unsettling that it convinced her she might be sharing her house with something she can't explain. She shared the footage online, noting that it was recorded on a night when she was home alone, just her and her baby. It was close to 10 p.m. when her phone buzzed with a notification from her security camera, alerting her that motion had been detected outside. Her first assumption was that her husband was getting back from a late shift, but when he never walked through the door, she opened up the camera app to see what had triggered the alert, and what she found made her blood run cold. So that's what her security system caught. Is that the apparition of a young girl standing inside her home? The figure appears to be gazing through the sliding glass doors before gradually fading out and vanishing into the dark. Once she posted the video online, the comments section exploded with theories. Some people sided with Angela, saying the silhouette genuinely looks like a ghostly girl on the other side of the glass. Others were more skeptical, insisting there was a perfectly rational explanation. But then Angela came back with a follow-up that made the whole thing feel even more disturbing.
So this is the area, the door that it was like standing inside. We don't have anything or keep anything in this area because it's a walkway and it would be really awkward. And then this is where the security camera is. So when I looked at the footage, I expected to see a person. I didn't expect to see that though.
Here, Angela tries to replicate what the security camera recorded. What she shows is striking. When she shuts the sliding glass door, she's barely even visible on the footage. If a real person had been standing at that door looking outward, the camera likely wouldn't have registered them at all. That raises a deeply unsettling question about whatever the camera actually captured that night. Angela is convinced it was a ghost, but what it was doing in her home and what it might have been looking for remains completely unknown. This guy managed to record something that would send a chill through anyone's veins. Footage that appears to show a genuinely possessed doll. It might just be one of the most unsettling clips of its type. See for yourself. At a certain point in the footage, the doll's head snaps into a completely new position, as though driven by some force of its own. The motion is far too sharp and deliberate to be dismissed as something like a hidden string. What cranks up the fear factor even further is that this wasn't a one-time event. The same account has posted additional footage showing the doll shifting on multiple occasions, sometimes even while locked away behind a closed cabinet door. The notion that an object could reposition itself on its own, particularly inside an enclosed space, only deepens the sense of mystery and unease surrounding this thing. So what is actually going on here? Is this doll genuinely cursed, or is there some other explanation behind these deeply troubling movements? This next clip was originally shared on Reddit, where it spread rapidly and caught the attention of thousands. The person behind the upload is a wildlife researcher who sets up specialized trail cameras throughout forested areas, leaving them running to document animal behavior. According to him, he and his colleagues had ventured deep into a particularly remote stretch of woodland, a region well known for harboring a number of dangerous creatures. They positioned a camera there to monitor local wildlife, noting that the area would be far too hazardous for anyone to wander through on their own. But on this occasion, the footage turned up something the team never anticipated. It wasn't just animals that got recorded, something else entirely showed up. Something bizarre and completely out of place. In the dead of night, a figure appeared moving alone directly in front of the lens, right in the heart of this isolated and treacherous forest. Commenters flooded the thread, pointing out that whatever this thing was, it didn't look right. It certainly didn't look human. People noted that it appeared almost see-through, with unusually slender arms and a neck that seemed far too elongated to belong to any person. So if this isn't a human being walking through the dark, what on earth do you think it is? After relocating on his own to an isolated property far from civilization, a man named Jack started noticing unsettling sounds coming from beyond his walls in the dead of night. With no neighbors anywhere close by and a burning need to know what was prowling around outside, he set up a security camera pointed toward the exterior of his home. What that camera recorded, though, ended up deeply unsettling a whole lot of people. Emerging from the pitch-black darkness, a strange face appears to be gazing directly at Jack's house. The figure shows up with a disturbing level of detail, almost as though someone had positioned themselves there to peer inside. But here's where things get even weirder. The second the outdoor light flicks on, the face vanishes entirely, and all that's left in that very spot is a simple flower pot. A lot of people are chalking this up to pareidolia, the psychological tendency where the human mind picks out facial features in shadows and random objects. However, the remarkably distinct shape of what appears in the footage, combined with what looks like slight movement, has led plenty of viewers to push back on that theory. So, where do you land on this one? Is it nothing but a trick of the dark, or was something out there genuinely keeping watch over that house? For decades now, both kids and grown-ups alike have found the animatronic figures at Chuck E. Cheese locations to be genuinely unsettling. Their creep factor runs so deep, in fact, that they served as the main inspiration for the massively popular horror game Five Nights at Freddy's. So when a woman named Gina brought her child to one of these restaurants, she decided to do a little investigating of her own. After the show wrapped up and the robots went still, she slipped behind the curtain to get some footage of the lifeless machines. What she captured instead was something that'll make your skin crawl. Out of nowhere, one of the animatronic figures snaps its gaze directly toward Gina, eyes wide open, as though it had been fully aware she was watching. Now sure, you could write this off as some random malfunction in the robot software, but here's the thing. Chuck E. Cheese animatronics aren't equipped with facial recognition technology, motion detectors, or any other system that would cause them to deliberately turn toward a person. Yet, in this footage, it looks for all the world like that machine is staring straight through her. These clips all appear to come from the same Spanish-speaking household. And what makes them so unsettling is how the activity seems to escalate over the course of several nights. It begins subtly. A bedroom camera captures someone sleeping beneath a black and white blanket while dim city lights filter through the curtains. Nothing stirs, nothing sounds off, but right around the 6-second mark, direct your attention to the right-hand window pane. Something is already there waiting. Visible in the reflection is a tall, dark humanoid shape near the edge of the glass. The head and shoulders are distinctly formed, and it appears to lean into view, as though it's observing from just beyond the frame. Some viewers identified it as a shadow person, the kind of dark entity frequently reported in accounts of haunted hallways, doorways, and reflective surfaces. Others argue it could simply be an odd trick of outside light bouncing off the window. But the rigidity of the shape, its solid outline, and the way it seems to hold perfectly still make it genuinely difficult to dismiss. So what exactly was lurking near that window? A reflection, a real person, or something paranormal caught on camera? Either way, the family's disturbing recordings were far from over. Shortly after, the woman in the home begins filming a different kind of problem. For nearly 5 minutes, the television has been switching channels on its own and turning down the volume, despite nobody touching the remote. She even seals the remote in plastic wrap to demonstrate that none of the buttons are jammed.
Le baja el volumen y cambia el canal. Es re pesado. Hace 5 minutos más o menos que está así. Y es el único control que hay. No lo estoy usando. Y pone el mismo canal siempre. Así que es la vieja escuela. Es el único control que hay y no tenemos. Literalmente no hay otro. No lo estoy usando. Pero si yo pongo el otro, me lo vuelve a bajar y me lo vuelve a cambiar. Es un patrón, parece que no quiere que veamos Gravity Falls y me lo baja. No lo voy a tocar más.
The TV continues lowering the volume, cutting to black, and returning to the same channel over and over again. No matter what she attempts to put on, it keeps snapping back to the Flintstones. At one point, she sets the remote flat on the bed and walks away, and the television carries on regardless. She even says it aloud, almost as if whatever presence is in that house refuses to let them watch anything else. Now, a technical malfunction is possible. Signal interference, a defective remote, a firmware bug, all reasonable explanations. But when the same channel keeps forcing itself back on repeatedly, it stops feeling like a glitch and starts feeling deliberate. In many paranormal accounts, electronic devices are thought to be susceptible to unseen energy, as though something in the room is attempting to assert control. The woman eventually surrenders, half nervous and half exasperated, joking that they might just have to watch the Flintstones all night. But the haunting soon appears to reach beyond electronics. During the daytime, she attempts to light a charcoal disc used for incense and spiritual purification. She explains that she has already tried clearing the space with vinegar, and this is now her 5th attempt at lighting it. She sets the charcoal in a small white dish and moves toward the window. Pay attention to what happens next.
Una esferita mágica porque ya había limpiado el con vinagre el piso, pero parece que no lo calmó. Generalmente cuando prendo esto se calma un toque. El tema es que se prenda, porque ya es la 5ª vez que lo trato de prender. ¿Saltó lo bien? Saltó. ¿Pero dónde cayó?
Charcoal discs can snap, spark, or pop when residual moisture is trapped inside, but the reaction here looks far more intense than anything typical. The smoke, the sheer force of it, and the way it tears apart make the moment feel genuinely alarming. And because she was using it specifically to cleanse the home, many viewers read the explosion as something more than an accident. In certain spiritual traditions, when a purification ritual fails this dramatically, it is interpreted as a sign of resistance, as if whatever darkness inhabits the space has no intention of leaving. By nightfall, the woman appears even more rattled. This time she turns her camera toward the bathroom door, a white door fitted with textured privacy glass, and says she can see something standing on the other side of it. The phone's reflection makes it tricky to make out at first, but then the shape comes into focus. See for yourself what she was looking at.
Pero el celular le da el reflejo. Literalmente no puedo ir al baño tranquila porque está él. Y no hay nadie en la casa.
Through the pebbled glass, a dark human-like silhouette stands completely motionless. You can distinguish what appears to be a head, shoulders, and the full outline of a figure waiting just behind that door. She then pans the camera down the darkened hallway to confirm no one else is present, stating plainly that she is alone in the house. So here we have the same home, the same family, and a mounting series of deeply unsettling moments. A shadowy figure caught in a window reflection, a television that appears to choose its own programming, a cleansing ritual that ends in a violent burst, and a dark silhouette standing motionless behind a closed bathroom door in an empty house. Was all of this just a string of strange coincidences, technical failures, and tricky lighting? Or did this family genuinely document paranormal activity unfolding inside their home? As always, that's for you to decide. Back in June 2025, a TikTok creator named Kyle Anthony uploaded a video claiming that his home had become the site of a series of strange, inexplicable incidents, most of them centered around his basement. The footage starts with Kyle moving through the house, phone in hand, heading downstairs. His cat is visibly unsettled, which alone feels like a warning sign. If you tune in closely, you can make out a faint knocking sound rising up from below. Kyle reaches the basement door and slowly looks down the staircase. Everything appears fine at first, and then it isn't.
The heck is that? Is that you? What the heck is that? I guess it wasn't you, was it? We're doing this again. Anyway, I don't know.
As Kyle sweeps his camera across the steps, a disembodied voice that sounds unmistakably like a child suddenly drifts up from somewhere in the darkness below.
Moments later, there's the sound of rapid footsteps.
Seconds after that, the sound of quick, heavy footsteps can be heard pounding up the stairs, yet nothing is there. In a follow-up video, Kyle turns his attention to the attic. The footage opens on an attic doll that seems to be producing odd sounds, almost like something is gently tapping or moving just behind it. Kyle then pulls himself up into the space to take a look.
Alright, for any of y'all who don't believe that this is real, then I'm just making it up. I'm about to prove it to you.
Once he's up there, the attic looks completely unremarkable, dusty, vacant, and dead quiet. Whatever was responsible for those sounds has apparently vanished. So what exactly is happening here? The way these sounds are timed across both videos feels unsettlingly deliberate, particularly that floating voice and the sudden burst of footsteps. Skeptics will argue the audio was layered in during editing, or that it's nothing more than a house settling. But the precision of those moments makes pure coincidence a tough sell. If this whole thing is staged, someone put real effort into it. And if it isn't, Kyle may be living alongside something that has no intention of keeping quiet. The team had gathered more than enough accounts from locals about this hotel to know they weren't walking into something trivial. They made their way through the building carefully, taking stock of everything around them.
夹心的粉丝排泄小锅。啊！我操！啊！怎么可能会，对吧？啊！我操！
Little things kept catching their attention. A framed picture in one of the rooms that felt off in a way none of them could quite put into words. The deeper they pushed into the building, the more difficult it became to rationalize what they were experiencing. Then the cameraman glanced across the dining room and spotted someone who had absolutely no business being there. A dark, human-shaped figure dressed in what appeared to be a chef's uniform, completely motionless, staring back at them from the other side of the room. It didn't just appear once. The figure showed up multiple times over the course of the investigation, turning up in a new spot each time, and every fresh sighting felt more disturbing than the one before. After each encounter, they combed through the entire hotel looking for answers. No employees, no intruders, not a single reasonable explanation for a figure that kept materializing and vanishing without a trace. This unsettling clip follows a man as he ventures into a forest that the local community has long considered to be haunted. Initially, everything seems completely normal. The only sounds are crickets chirping and a gentle breeze rustling the bushes along the trail. Then, as he makes his way deeper into the woods with his camera pointed down the path ahead, the footage accidentally picks up something that shifts the entire mood in an instant. See for yourself what his camera recorded. Partially concealed behind one of the trees, a ghostly figure stands completely still, its body turned directly toward the man. It appears pale, with long hair falling loosely downward, and it doesn't so much as flinch, even as the camera stays fixed on it. The more he films it, the more defined its outline becomes, and that realization sends him spiraling into panic. Unable to do anything but keep the camera rolling from where he stands, he struggles to hold himself together, all while the figure seems to be silently locked onto his every move. The following video was recorded during the day, with sunlight pouring through the window behind a man who was standing in his own living room, holding up his phone to record something he'd noticed in the dark reflection of his powered-off TV screen. It wasn't night. It wasn't some dimly lit hour where shadows could be excused. It was broad daylight. And yet, in that reflection, something was there. Watch.
Is it, am I tripping or is that? Someone sitting on my couch for like, there's no one there. What? But like, there's no one there. There's no one on the couch. Oh my God, it's gone.
A dark, human-shaped silhouette is clearly visible sitting on the sofa, slumped slightly forward in the TV's reflection. But when he swings the camera around to the actual couch, it's completely empty. Pillows, a throw blanket, nothing else. He pans back to the screen, and the figure is gone too. Some think this could be a residual presence, an imprint of someone who used to sit in that exact spot, briefly visible in a surface dark enough to act almost like a mirror between spaces. You decide what was sitting on that couch. In the following clip, a man is lying in bed at night when he notices something strange under the white duvet beside him. A large shape and two pale hands with dark discoloration on the fingers gripping the edge of the blanket from underneath. His breathing is already frantic as he reaches over and begins to pull the cover back. Watch. First, he sees hands, then, when he checks the narrow gap between the mattress and the wall, something looks back at him. For just a fraction of a second, a pale, distorted face with wide dark eyes and messy hair peers out from that gap, directly at the camera, before vanishing. It's there, and then it's gone. What makes it so hard to dismiss is the way it appears. Not rushing, not retreating, just watching, as though it had been there the whole time he was searching. Some viewers immediately recognize the visual as something close to what's described online as a crawler, a term used in modern internet folklore to describe pale, emaciated humanoid figures said to appear in narrow dark spaces, watching before they act. But I'll leave you to be the judge. The second clip was recorded by a young man who lives with his grandfather and has spent months documenting a series of strange incidents involving him. According to the uploader, this isn't the first unsettling video he's shared. On multiple occasions, he's reportedly found his grandfather standing motionless in corners of the house, staring into space for long periods of time, behaving in ways that he says feel completely out of character. Eventually, he decided to start recording some of these moments. Watch.
Essa porra tá vazando, não tá um cheiro. Passa aí. Peraí, Ju, passa aí. Louca, calma.
At first glance, it appears to show his grandfather standing in the room as usual, but if you look closely, viewers notice something deeply unsettling about his face. From the camera's angle, it almost appears as though he has no facial features at all, no visible eyes, no distinguishable expression, just a smooth, darkened void where his face should be. Naturally, many viewers were quick to suggest a simple explanation. Some believe it's nothing more than a mask, poor lighting, shadows obscuring his features, or a camera artifact caused by compression and low image quality. But others weren't convinced. Several paranormal-minded viewers pointed out that faceless apparitions have appeared in folklore for centuries. Across different cultures, there are stories of entities that imitate human appearance while lacking key human features, particularly the face. In some traditions, a missing face is seen as a symbol of an identity that has been lost, hidden, or replaced. Other legends describe spirits that can mimic the form of a living person but fail to recreate every detail correctly, resulting in disturbing imperfections that reveal something is wrong. In the next clip, a man films himself in bed at night, his eyes wide and red, visibly terrified, saying he woke up during a fever and something was entering his room. Watch. The bedroom door slowly creaks open on its own, and then, in the widening gap of the doorframe, a tall, extremely thin humanoid figure appears. Long limbs, a disproportionately large round pale head, stepping into the room. The camera jerks away in panic, then back, and the figure is further inside, standing near the wall. Fever dream or not, the figure is specific in a way that's hard to explain away. A lot of viewers familiar with accounts of crawler-type entities pointed out that the proportions, the elongated limbs, the oversized head, the way it moves through a doorway rather than appearing suddenly, match descriptions that show up repeatedly in reported sightings. Others think it's a costume, a mask, someone willing to stand very still in the dark for the sake of a video. And maybe that's true. But if you've ever woken up at night convinced something was in your room, you know that the line between a fever dream and something real is exactly as thin as that creak of a door. And like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. What would it take for you to be sure which side of that line you were on? The following videos were all recorded inside the same home. And across these 3 clips, whatever has been happening here escalates from deeply unsettling to something that's genuinely hard to watch without feeling a chill. It starts in the middle of the night at 3:33 a.m. with a man waking his partner, a woman sitting on the edge of the bed in a dimly lit bedroom, 2 children sleeping behind her because something in the house doesn't sound right. Their baby daughter is asleep right there on the bed. She's not crying, and yet the sound of an infant wailing is echoing through the entire house, clearly audible, growing louder the closer you get to the staircase. He decides to go down and find out where it's coming from. Watch.
Ceci, ¿qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es, güey? 3:33, no mames. Y se escucha clarito, ¿eh?
Sí, ahora hace como la bebé, como la niña.
Es como si estuviera llorando ella, ¿verdad?
Sí. Es su llanto.
¿Mande?
Es su llanto, digo.
Voy a bajar a la máquina, güey, es que cada cosa. Oye. Voy a tener que salir. No, amigos, ya es bien tarde, ya mis hijos ya están dormidos. que hace mi hija cuando llora. Siempre dejamos focos prendidos, pero Padre Santo. Cristo tiene poder, Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino, venga. Hágase tu voluntad, así en la tierra como en el cielo. Padre Santo. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder, Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino, venga. Hágase tu voluntad, así en la tierra como en el cielo.
As he moves through the darkened downstairs rooms, the tiled floors, the rocking chair faintly visible, the refrigerator casting a pale shape in the dark, the crying grows louder, as though it's concentrated in the one room straight ahead. He begins to whisper the Lord's Prayer. Then he stops, he gasps, and he runs. The camera whips back up the stairs in a blur of panic, and the video cuts out. What he saw in that dark room, something in the rocking chair, a shape that was enough to make him abandon the prayer mid-sentence, isn't fully visible to the camera, but his reaction tells you everything you need to know. Some viewers think the disembodied crying is consistent with what's often described as a residual haunting, a looping imprint of a past event replaying itself in the space. Others believe something was using that sound deliberately, mimicking the child to draw someone down into the dark. That distinction matters because one implies a passive echo and the other implies intent. It didn't stop there. In this next clip, the same man is back downstairs alone. Hours later, his family's still asleep upstairs, and the house is doing something new. Watch.
Ay, ¿quién anda ahí? Deja de molestar. Les voy a mostrar, vean. Escuché un niño. Acabo de escuchar un niño. Qué loco, cabrón, qué loco. Miren, por si piensan que es alguien de mi familia. Vean a mi familia dónde está. Tantito nada más, tantito. Verga. Miren a mi esposa, a mis hijos. Tantito nomás. Miren. No se ven. Ahí está mi esposa, chicos, no se ven. Están dormidos. Miren. Ya están dormidos.
Y para ejecutar aquello que yo deseo hacer, el fin que con tu ayuda quiero conseguir. Oh poderoso Satanás, único Dios verdadero que vive y reina por los siglos de los siglos, te ruego que inspires a Mamón, príncipe de la avaricia, para que se manifieste ante mi presencia y me conceda la respuesta.
The Alexa device in a room lit entirely by red LED strips activates on its own, not with a generic response, but with an apparent lecture about Mammon, a demonic figure described in medieval theological tradition as the Prince of Greed, said to embody corrupt wealth and spiritual corruption. Then he sees something strange standing in the shadows. Watch.
Está en las sombras. Me van a tomar a loco, raza, pero allí está, lo juro por Dios. En el nombre de Jesús. En el nombre de Jesús. Escucharon, escucharon. Escucharon el lamento. Yo lo estoy viendo clarito. Clarito lo estoy viendo. Como nunca se ha dejado ver. Y no es uno, son varios. Se ven sus rostros en la parte de arriba. Miren cómo se ven. Son varios. Ahí está. Ahí está. Ahí está. Ahí está. Ahí está. Ahí está. Yo lo vi moverse. Miren, 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 miren. Miren, 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 miren. Puta madre, güey.
Something pale, tall, and impossibly thin lunges from the side of that doorway directly at the camera, and the footage cuts. Whether the Alexa activations were triggered by a pre-recorded routine or by something else entirely is the first argument that fills every comment section on this video. But the pale figure at the end is harder to explain away. It moves with a speed and a shape that doesn't match anything ordinary. Some viewers familiar with demonology pointed immediately to the Mammon connection, arguing that whatever was in that house had been invited in, knowingly or not, through whatever was stored or played on that device. For those who followed shadow figure cases, the shapes standing in that dark doorway fit what's often described as shadow people, dark, humanoid presences that tend to cluster in liminal spaces like doorways and staircases, and are reported across cultures and traditions going back centuries. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. Now, in this next clip, filmed in what appears to be the same home, a man notices something standing behind a frosted glass door. A silhouette, small and still, the size of a child. Watch.
Para que tú los ayudes, Señor Jesús, y que ellos caminen, Dios mío, Señor, en tu verdad, para que ellos, Dios mío, caminen, prosperen, estén bien, Señor, guárdalos. Guárdalos, Dios mío, de cualquier cosa, Dios mío, que quiera acecharlo, cualquier trampa al enemigo, cualquier cosa que el enemigo quiera poner, cuídalos, Señor, guárdalos, protégelos, porque ellos son tuyos, Señor Jesús.
Miren lo que estoy grabando, amigos. Ya no puedo estar ni en mi casa tranquilamente, vean. Se ve claramente la silueta ahí. Es pequeño, amigos, como de un niño. Chicos. ¿Ya vieron? Ahí está, vean, vean, ahí se ve más claro. Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino, hágase tu voluntad, así en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy el pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas, así como nosotros perdonamos a quien nos ofende. No nos dejes caer en tentación y líbranos del mal. Amén.
The figure doesn't move. It just stands there on the other side of the glass while he films it, his voice dropping into a shaking whisper. He says he can't be in his own house peacefully anymore. He begins to recite the Lord's Prayer, and the moment he finishes, Amen, the keys hanging in the door lock begin to rattle violently, as if something on the other side reacted to those specific words. He retreats through the house fast, camera swinging past the guitar case, the rocking chair, the kitchen, and the stairs. a child-sized shadow that appears at the exact moment a prayer ends and shakes the door on its final word. You decide what that means. The following clip was filmed at night, inside what appears to be a dimly lit room, by a man hiding underneath a long table covered with a white tablecloth. He's pressed flat against the floor, phone propped outward from his hiding spot, breathing so heavily it's the dominant sound in the room. Wide eyes, clearly terrified, not moving an inch. Watch. A figure in a long white gown steps out of an illuminated doorway and moves slowly, deliberately, into the dark room. Barefoot, stiff, its movements just slightly off in a way that's hard to pin down. The man doesn't run. He stays completely frozen under that table as the figure crosses the background. And then the sounds start. Frantic, high-pitched giggling that builds into something far less human, layering into screams and a deep guttural roar right before the clip cuts to black. Some viewers think the disembodied child's voice and the robed figure represent two separate presences, possibly one luring and one pursuing. Others believe the sounds at the end aren't coming from the figure at all. So what exactly was hiding in that room with him? Now, in this next clip, a woman is at home in the middle of the day filming herself talking when something from inside the house stops her mid-sentence. Watch.
I wish there was an easier way to get my daughter to start being able to put everything. Yeah? Sarah? Sarah? You say something? Did you hear that? Sarah? 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 Sarah?
She searches the whole house, moving through hallways and rooms, calling Sarah's name, and then, while she's still walking, two faint, high-pitched sounds respond. Not a child's voice, something else entirely. Many viewers think whatever called out that first mommy was mimicking a child's voice to draw her attention, a tactic associated in a lot of paranormal traditions with entities that lure people by sounding familiar and safe. The sounds that follow don't match anything visible in the house. Sarah never answered. So what was it that called for her mother first? In the following video, a guy is making a quick video to show his sister's fiance just how creepy the crematorium where he works can get after hours. What starts as a casual walkthrough quickly turns into something far more disturbing. Watch this.
Lights, they turn off automatically at a certain hour. And I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna walk you through I have a friend that works that he would see and hear things coming from these furnaces when they're burning the bodies. So when I'm walking through here, they usually put the urns out to send to the families. So when I'm walking here at night, I walk right by these urns that they put on these tables here. And then I come down, freaking out. Crazy.
Now, crematoriums already carry a heavy atmosphere. The energy there is said to linger, trapped between the living and the dead. Some even believe places like this can absorb emotions, grief, pain, fear, and release them in strange ways. Others think the constant contact with the deceased could make it easier for spirits to attach themselves to the living, especially workers who spend long nights alone. Now, back to the guy in this video. He's convinced there's a ghost haunting this crematorium, and until someone gives him a better explanation for what he saw, he's not budging from that theory. So what do you think? Paranormal encounter or something else? You decide. Now, this next video was captured at around 3:15 in the morning, and after what happened, there was no way the guy could go back to sleep. Watch this.
Estaba por entrar a mi casa, son 3:15 de la mañana, y la luz empieza a ser así, no sé. Sinceramente siento que hay alguien acá. No sé por qué lo presiento. Si te querés mostrar, mostrate ahora. Hay alguien sentado ahí. Hay alguien sentado. Mostrate.
Only people who've woken up to the sound of something unexplainable can truly relate to the kind of terror this brings. That feeling of being watched, of knowing you're not alone. And for this guy, it's not a one-time event. strange things keep happening in his home, often at the same exact hour, like something's deliberately choosing that time to make itself known. But many who followed his story were relieved to find out it wasn't the Teddy this time, the same Teddy that's moved on its own in several of his earlier videos. But that only made people wonder, what if it was never the Teddy? What if whatever's in his home simply uses different objects to get his attention, or worse, to toy with him? Some say he's dealing with a spirit that feeds off fear, while others think something darker might be attached to the house itself. Until he shares another update, what's really tormenting him remains a mystery. In the following clip, a woman named Jess shares a chilling story, one that's been haunting her for over a decade. Jess lost a close friend named Derek 13 years ago, and ever since then, he's never really left. No matter where she moves, strange things follow. Lights flickering, footsteps in empty rooms, objects shifting on their own. And in her new home, one she moved into just a few months ago, it seems Derek has somehow found her again. Watch this.
Mary, what? He's doing it again. He's doing it again. Mary, he's doing it again. Derek! Hey, Derek! I know you're you, dude. Derek! Derek! I'm talking to you, man. Stop f***ing me, dude. Calm down, Jessica. It's okay. It's okay. Calm down. It's just Derek. Hey, Derek. Hey, Derek. What you doing, buddy? I miss you. Derek. What are you doing, buddy? You know I love you. You know I love you. Hey, Derek. Come on, you dumb. What the f?
Now, a lot of people believe Jess might be unknowingly holding on to something that once belonged to Derek, something personal that's keeping his spirit tethered to her. Others think Derek could be trying to communicate, perhaps trying to deliver a message she's missed for over 13 years, something that, once understood, might finally allow him to move on. But not everyone agrees. Some say she's making a dangerous mistake, that what she's experiencing isn't Derek at all, but something pretending to be him, using her grief to gain her trust. A few even suggested she check her attic, where energies tend to gather in old houses, and when she finally did, this is what she found.
Y'all wanted me to come up to the attic, okay? This is a wall that y'all saw some shit on. And these are the stairs. Like, my husband has all his clothes, of course. But if you look up there, there's no windows. I'm not going all the way up there because it scares the shit out of me. There's no windows. There's a sofa, some mirrors, a chair, his clothes, but there's no windows up here, okay? There's nothing up here that would have done anything. See? No window. No window. No windows. Nothing. absolutely nothing up here. Other than like his toolboxes and a chair. I'm not going up here because it's too scary for me. But there are some mirrors, which is weird for an attic. A fan. See, there's no windows. This is my attic. There's nothing up here that could have done that shit. Alright, I'm getting the out of here because it feels weird.
So, is Jess truly being visited by the spirit of her old friend? Or something else wearing his face to keep her believing? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. Now, in this next clip, we're looking at footage captured inside a daycare in East Tennessee, one that used to be an old church before it was converted. Watch this.
The video I'm about to show you is very disturbing. I'm just gonna let it play for you and then I'll give you the background.
See? Lights go off. Now watch. You're going to see.
What you just saw was security footage that was sent to me by a woman who worked at a daycare in East Tennessee, Appalachia region. This daycare is actually a very old church that was turned into like a private daycare school. She said that events leading up to this, she was kind of having some weird experiences where she would be in her office after hours and would hear like people walking down the stairs, and then she would go check the stairwell and nobody would be there, or she would hear noises coming from classrooms and open up the door and see nothing. She said she would be the only one on the property at this time because she was in charge of like opening the daycare center, and then she would often stay after hours. So nobody was in the building when she was hearing these noises. On this particular day, she was opening the daycare. She went in that door that you saw at the end of the hall and noticed there was an iPad laying on the ground. This was really odd to her because these iPads are put into this like cabinet area that are hooked on like chargers. And she said they're very secure and they're like sitting up on charging decks, if that makes sense. She thought maybe an intruder came in or something, so she immediately notified the security officer who came and checked the camera footage. And that is the camera footage that you saw. Literally, the way that iPad just flings out of that cabinet is giving me chills right now. In the beginning, I feel like I also saw some kind of an orb object, but I've watched this video so many times and I feel like it's just unexplainable. Tell me what you saw in the video, if you saw the orbs like I did, or if you noticed anything else that's odd, and leave in the comments if you have any weird experiences like this.
The way that iPad flew across the room is hard to wrap your head around. Now here's a bit of context. The woman who shared this video works at the daycare and said there had been a series of strange occurrences long before this day. She'd often stay late in her office and hear what sounded like footsteps coming down the old wooden stairs, only to find no one there. Other times, faint noises would come from the classrooms after hours, toys rattling, drawers opening, whispers she couldn't quite make out. On the morning this footage was recorded, she arrived early and found one of the iPads lying on the floor. Now, she's the one who usually opens the daycare, so at that time, the building should have been completely empty, the iPads locked away in a cabinet as usual. Thinking it might have been a break-in, she called security. Omen people believe it's residual energy from when the building was still a church, that maybe the spirits of those who once gathered there never really left. Others think the conversion of the sacred space might have disturbed something that didn't want to be moved, but what do you think really happened inside that old daycare? In this next clip, a woman was walking down a quiet street late at night when her camera picked up something she couldn't explain. Watch.
Or the sub for you is going to be more. Everything's going up, but our wages aren't going up. Because I'm still seeing wages that are fucking pitiful on Indeed. Oh yay, I can make the same amount of money I made when I was out of high school. You know? Looks like there was a figure just standing right there. That's so crazy. I think it was my own shadow. That happens way too often.
At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a shadow, but take a closer look. The outline, the faint movement, and those glowing eyes staring straight at her. Some viewers think she may have caught a shadow figure, a manifestation often linked to dark energy or spiritual unrest. Others believe it's something far more physical, a creature that thrives in the dark, staying just beyond our understanding. There could be many other explanations for what she saw, like a trick of the light, an animal, or maybe something else entirely. But the idea that it could be something aware of her presence is what makes this clip so unsettling. Because if figures like this can move freely among us, unnoticed and unbothered, it makes you wonder what else is out there when the streets go quiet. So, what do you think she captured that night? And do you believe that some things walk among us? Some seen and others we were never meant to see? Now, in this next clip, a woman named Keys has been dealing with strange activity in her home, the kind that keeps her up at night. But this time, she finally managed to catch something on camera. Watch this.
What is happening right now? First the door was moving, then I heard like talking, and then I keep seeing shadows. And for anyone telling me that I should go out there, yeah, why don't you go out there, please? Oh, it just opened and shut right in front of me. Oh man, I wish I could. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. I'm freaking out. And before anyone comes at me, it's freaking the middle of October in Pennsylvania. It's freezing out, so I have no windows open. I have one fan that circulates throughout the whole room, and that door has never done that. Like, it's moved on its own, but never just like slammed shut like that. I can't believe I just caught that on camera. What the actual believe I just caught that. And of course I'm alone. Yay me. Fun times.
Whatever that was, it's not the first time she's seen it. Keys says things like this have been happening for months. Objects moving on their own, lights flickering even when the power's stable, and that unsettling feeling that someone's standing right behind her when no one is there. She's tried everything from cleansing rituals to changing rooms, but nothing seems to stop it. And now, after this footage, she's starting to wonder if whatever's haunting her house might be getting stronger. If you've ever experienced something similar, drop your thoughts below. What did you do to make it stop? Because at this point, Keys is running out of ideas and courage. Now, in this next clip, the popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian visits one of Nebraska's most haunted locations, the Argo Hotel. This place has a long and unsettling history. Years ago, when it was still a sanatorium, a woman named Alice reportedly died during childbirth in the basement. Since then, people say her spirit never left. They hear her crying softly in the hallways at night, sometimes calling for her baby. But here's the disturbing part. During renovations, workers found skeletal remains of an infant sealed inside one of the walls. Many believe it was Alice's child, and she's not the only one said to haunt this place. Guests staying in room 1 often complain about their blankets being tugged off in the middle of the night, or waking up to the sound of faint breathing right beside them. On November 28, 2024, Ian decided to spend the night alone inside the Argo Hotel, hoping to capture proof of what's really happening here. Watch.
That sounded like a lady's voice, right there. I swear to God, I just heard that right behind me. Alice, is that you? She's that ghostly woman that they see wandering around. Could you say something again? I don't know if I'm just losing it, but I swear to God I heard that. I'm not hearing anything else. It's dead quiet. Alice, was that you I just heard? Whoa. There's something standing right over there. It was right behind that couch. There was something literally standing in that photo. It was like a mist or something. But I'm not seeing it anymore. It's completely gone.
So was that Alice still wandering these halls, or something else entirely? For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following clip was captured inside the Old Gila County Jail in Globe, Arizona, widely considered one of the most haunted locations in the state. Since its closure in 1981, the jail has become a hotspot for paranormal investigations and has even appeared on shows like Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters. One of the jail's most disturbing stories centers around a former inmate whose life ended inside his cell in 1911 while he was awaiting trial for the drowning of 2 young girls. In the days leading up to his death, he claimed the spirits of those girls were visiting him, tormenting him inside his cell. To this day, visitors report sudden drops in temperature, an overwhelming sense of dread, and faint sobbing near his former cell in cell block B. Over the years, guests and investigators have also reported being touched, scratched, or pushed by unseen forces, along with disembodied voices, unexplained footsteps, and loud bangs echoing through the second floor. On this particular night, a group of investigators set up a camera at the foot of one of the staircases. Watch closely.
I hear something in here now. Whatever it is, you have to God on this line. Yep, oh, I guarantee you do. So do you want to worry about it?
This voice is impressive on its own, but what makes it even more compelling is that one of our 2 investigators talking at the top of the stairs, discussing their worry about the rain, caught the same voice from one of their cameras. Take a listen.
Here, Riley?
We let this video extend a bit longer to give you a comparison of the 3 voices heard in this clip, our 2 investigators' voices, and the 3rd disembodied voice. To add to the mystery surrounding these stairs, less than 2 hours later, another camera at the top of these stairs automatically shuts itself off. Our team hurried to figure out what happened to the camera, realizing that we need to fix this unknown issue downstairs at base camp. This is what happened. After going through over 3 hours of footage, listening through the heavy rain and natural echoes through the prison, this voice is only heard twice. What are your thoughts?
Some believe it may be connected to the inmate whose restless presence is said to linger near the upper floors, while others think it could be something even older tied to the jail itself. It's moments like this that remind people why the old Gila County Jail continues to be an enigma, one that refuses to give up its secrets. Now this next clip comes from a guy named Chris, who regularly explores abandoned buildings with long, often unsettling histories. In this particular video, he's inside one of those locations alone, documenting the space when something strange is caught on camera. Watch closely.
Did you hear that? That was loud.
At first, there's a loud bang that echoes through the building, sharp enough to make him freeze. Almost immediately after, you can see something shift in the frame, subtle but unmistakable. Chris later explains that in that exact moment, it felt like someone reached out and grabbed him by the shoulder. When this video surfaced, reactions were split. Viewers unfamiliar with Chris and his work were quick to dismiss it as post-production editing or a staged effect. But longtime followers pointed out that Chris doesn't usually sensationalize his footage, and that abandoned structures like this are often unpredictable, both structurally and otherwise. Whether it was something physical, something paranormal, or just a moment caught at the worst possible time, one thing is clear: whatever happened in that building left Chris visibly shaken. And for many who've explored places like this before, that reaction says more than the footage itself. In the following video, a man says he's been dealing with a persistent and unsettling feeling that someone is inside his house with him. And whenever that feeling hits, it's not subtle. His chest suddenly feels heavy, like the air around him has thickened, making it hard to breathe normally. He describes it as a pressure that comes out of nowhere, usually late at night when the house is quiet. One night, that same feeling returned. Instead of brushing it off, he picked up his phone, hoping to finally catch whoever or whatever was causing it. But what he ended up recording was something he didn't expect at all. Watch closely. After seeing this, he says he's now convinced that something is moving freely inside his home, aware of his presence, but careful about when it reveals itself. Some viewers believe this could explain the physical sensations he's been feeling, suggesting that intense fear or stress can manifest as chest pressure when someone senses danger. paranormal investigators often approach situations like this in different ways. Some believe acknowledging the presence gives it strength, while others suggest setting firm boundaries, cleansing the space, or even temporarily leaving the home to break whatever attachment may exist. And then there are those who say that when your instincts keep warning you, when your body reacts before your mind does, it's not something to ignore. Because sometimes when your gut tells you you're not alone, it might already be too late to pretend otherwise. This next video is about Kyle, who has been living in this house for about a year and a half, and whatever is happening there has never stayed in one place. The activity seems to move freely through the home, starting in the crawl space, then shifting to the attic, later the garage, and now even the rooms where he sleeps. Kyle reports hearing children laughing in empty hallways, objects shifting when no one is near them, and sudden noises that don't repeat in the same location twice. Hoping to find a logical source, Kyle decides to check the attic himself, thinking maybe there's something hidden or overlooked that could explain everything. But what he finds only raises more questions. Watch.
Shit. Oh my God. Shit. Damn it. I'm hearing voices up here again. Yeah. There's like a little kid laughing. Surely you heard that. Oh man, it's getting funny at this point. What the heck? I think some of y'all are right. I think ever since I put that ornament that I found up here on the Christmas tree, things have been a little wild. Happy holidays, I guess. Okay, maybe it's time to get out of here. I thought I was going to come up here and look around, see if I could find anything else, but we might have to... Maybe I just need to get a friend to come with me or something. Yeah, we'll see about that.
At first, Kyle believes he's only hearing voices, but if you look closely, a figure appears to be standing completely still directly in front of him. Some viewers also point out faint orbs drifting through the frame, and combined with the voices, many believe the attic was already fully active before Kyle ever stepped inside. Whether this is a single entity moving through the house or something far more complex, one thing is clear: the activity in Kyle's home isn't slowing down. Now in this next video, a man shares footage that many viewers say proves that renovating a house doesn't erase whatever energy is already there. Here's a bit of background. The house was originally built in 1949 and has gone through several renovations over the years. At the time this video was recorded, it was still occupied by an elderly woman, and the man in the clip would regularly come by to carry out remodeling work. But according to him, every time he stepped into the house, something felt off. He describes sudden cold spots, the uneasy feeling of being watched, and no matter how long he stayed, he never felt fully alone. One day, while working in the basement, something happened right in front of him. Watch. viewers were quick to point out that there's no obvious explanation for how it shifts the way it does. Some believe the age of the house plays a role, that decades of lived experiences, emotions, and unresolved events can leave something behind, especially in places like basements where energy is said to linger. Others think the activity could be tied to the former owner herself, or even the tension surrounding the home. Shortly after this was recorded, the elderly woman was moved into a nursing home and the house was put up for sale. According to the man, the family had already begun arguing over money and her will, creating even more unrest around the property. Whether it's residual energy from the past, something attached to the house itself, or just another unexplained moment caught on camera, this home seems to carry more than just its history, and whatever moved that chair may not be finished making its presence known. In this next clip, a family was settling in for the night, watching a horror movie called The Deliverance, a film inspired by the real-life 2011 Demon House case of LaToya Ammons in Gary, Indiana. Everything felt normal at first, just another scary movie night, until the atmosphere inside the house began to change. Right in the middle of the film, the power suddenly went out in the parlor. Almost immediately after, the family felt a heavy shift in the room, the unmistakable sensation that someone had just walked into the living room with them. Panicked, they went to their rooms, hoping whatever it was would stop there. But whatever entered the house that night wasn't finished. Watch.
Oh, hell no. Bro, what the? Oh, hell no. You gotta go.
After this encounter, the family swore off horror movies completely. Many viewers believe films based on real events can stir up fear, emotion, and attention, things that some say act like an invitation. Others argue it's a coincidence, that the tension from the movie simply heightened their senses. But there are also those who warn that once something makes itself known, it doesn't always leave on its own. The real concern now is whether this was a one-time incident, or the beginning of something that plans to come back when the house goes quiet again. What do you think? Now, in this next video, a family's dog has been acting strangely, and what it reacts to has left viewers uneasy. Watch closely.
You're crazy.
The dog is clearly seeing something no one else can see, but two details immediately stand out. First, the family doesn't seem overly concerned. They brush it off, suggesting the dog is simply acting out or responding to a random noise. And second, when the dog becomes more agitated, they shush it, a moment that made many viewers uncomfortable. A lot of people believe animals sense changes in their environment long before humans do, especially when it comes to unfamiliar presences or sudden shifts in energy. What makes this even stranger is that only one dog reacts. So, what do you think? An overreactive pet? Or the only one in the house paying attention? Now, in this next clip, the popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his solo exploration through the haunted buildings of Bonanzaville. Still inside the mansion, he enters one particular bedroom that many visitors say feels different from the rest. This is the room where people have reported seeing an imprint on the bed, as if someone is lying there even when the room is empty. It's also believed to be the very room where the mansion's owner, David, passed away. Watch closely.
Well, doesn't really look like it. David, did you die in this room? I heard you died of a brain hemorrhage, and I'm very, very sorry to hear that. Are you the one that leaves the imprint On the pillow? Could you do it right now? What the heck is that? What is that? Mom? Somebody downstairs? What the heck is that? It's like a jingling sound. What the heck is that? It's down there.
After leaving the room, Ian starts hearing unexplained sounds coming from downstairs. As he follows the sound, he captures something even more unsettling.
Wait a minute. Look at that. Dude, those things are freaking moving. Oh, hell no. Hell no. How is that even possible? Look at that. You're freaking moving like crazy. And that's her seance table. That's even more terrifying. Oh, God. How is that even happening? There's no air in here or anything. Oh, God. Look at that. They're still moving. Oh, what? Dude, this camera just died.
The crystals on the lamp begin swaying back and forth aggressively, far more than a draft or vibration could explain. What makes this moment even stranger is what happens next. As Ian approaches the table, both of his cameras suddenly die, despite showing full battery just moments earlier. Almost immediately, Ian begins to feel lightheaded, overwhelmed, and uneasy, sensations many investigators associate with intense paranormal encounters. Realizing something may not want him there anymore, Ian makes the decision to leave the mansion. Was this a warning or something following him all along? You decide. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following video was recorded by a man who was testing his new glasses camera mode, and what he briefly saw made him stop cold.
What the? I know I just saw her. Yo, am I tripping? Scrunch, I could have swore I just saw you standing up. I think I got that on my glasses. I got to check and see if I got that on my...
The little girl was in her light blue onesie, and in that opening split second of footage, she appears to be standing upright near the wall. Something a baby in a swing simply shouldn't be able to do. If you look at that very first frame, it's so distorted and blurry that it's nearly impossible to say with certainty what's actually there. Skeptics say it's a compression glitch, a single corrupted frame that the brain reads as a figure. Others think the camera caught something it wasn't supposed to. What do you think he saw? Now, in this next clip, two young girls, both in matching red shirts, are sitting at a small table at night, finishing their meal, while a woman films them from across the room. It's an ordinary enough scene, the kind of quiet nighttime routine that plays out in homes everywhere. Suddenly, one of the girls, Nani, says she's scared, and at first it's easy to brush it off because children often react to darkness, to shadows, to things adults don't pay much attention to, and it seems like one of those moments. Watch.
Finish eating.
When I'm done, can we get our fries?
Yeah.
I just... what? Don't scare me.
What?
I'm scared. It's okay.
I just turned off the lights, that's all. What was that?
What
Look at me. What are you scared of? The fish? Oh, the fish died.
What?
Angel's sleeping already. It's raining, girls. Nani, are you almost done eating? Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. But you gotta listen to me. Turn around. Look at me. Look to me.
The girl sitting on the left begins to imitate the situation, playfully making growling and laughing sounds, clearly trying to tease and lighten the mood, treating it like a joke rather than something real. But then something shifts, because she turns to look in the same direction Nani was focused on, and her reaction changes instantly. The teasing stops, her expression drops, and within seconds, that playful imitation turns into genuine fear, escalating from small sounds into full panic, her body language tightening as she begins to cry, then scream, as if whatever she saw in that moment removed all doubt that something was actually there. And that reaction is what unsettles viewers the most, because it's not one child reacting anymore, it's two. And the second reaction comes after direct eye contact with whatever caught their attention in the first place. But what makes this harder to ignore is that nothing visible appears on camera, no shadow, no movement, nothing that explains the intensity of their fear, which only raises more questions about what exactly they were reacting to in that moment. Because whatever it was, they both saw it. And whatever was there that night still hasn't been explained. This next video comes from what appears to be a residential driveway, captured on two separate occasions by the same security camera, both times in the early hours of the morning, both times with no one present, and both times catching something that has no obvious explanation. The first incident was recorded at around 5:27 a.m. on February 18th of 2025, in complete pre-dawn darkness. The property quiet and still. Watch. What appears in the frame is a translucent white humanoid shape, but not fully formed, lacking a head, with only the lower portion clearly visible, moving in a way that suggests motion rather than distortion, as though it is crossing through the driveway with purpose, yet without the physical presence that would normally accompany a person. The way it holds its shape, even briefly, makes it difficult to dismiss as simple light interference or passing mist, because it doesn't disperse or break apart the way natural elements typically would under infrared light. Then, captured on that same camera on the same date, but timestamped at 4:37 a.m., nearly an hour earlier than the first clip, something entirely different appears, adding another layer to what's already difficult to explain. Watch. This time, instead of a figure, a glowing cycle moves through the frame, clearly visible, clearly defined, but with no rider, no person guiding it, no visible force pushing it forward, just the object itself moving through the space as though it is being operated by something that cannot be seen. In some folklore, particularly in parts of Asia and Europe, incomplete apparitions, figures that appear partially formed or missing defining features like a head or face, are sometimes associated with restless spirits. Entities that have not fully transitioned, or that are bound to a location due to unresolved circumstances surrounding their death. These forms are often described as unstable, appearing only in fragments, unable to fully manifest but still present enough to be seen under certain conditions. Now, 2 different manifestations, same place, same night, which raises a question that's far more difficult to answer. Is this just fragments of something that once happened there, or evidence that something is still there, moving through that space long after it should have been gone? This next clip was recorded by a woman checking her family into what looks like a rustic lodge-style hotel suite. A nice getaway, the kind of place you'd expect everyone to be excited about. The room has a stone fireplace, a lofted second floor, a balcony with daylight streaming in. Nothing about it looks wrong, but the moment the family steps inside, the little girl, KK, loses it completely. Watch.
Oh, she don't like this one. Wasn't expecting that. Dang, Big Mama. Is there something in here? We rebuke it, Kai Kai. We rebuke it. She said, Yeah. Yeah. There's shit on the toilet.
That's where you and Dad sleeping?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
What? You're welcome. I hope y'all like it. I hope y'all got some energy because we're going to be up all night.
KK is still inconsolable by the end of the clip. Her dad has to hold her near the dining table just to calm her down. Now, a lot of people would chalk this up to a toddler being overstimulated or tired from travel. But what's harder to dismiss is how specific the reaction was. Not to the car ride, not to the unfamiliar faces, but to that room. Many believe young children, especially toddlers, haven't yet developed the social filters that cause adults to ignore what they sense. Some call it residual sensitivity, the idea that children perceive environmental energy that most adults have learned to tune out entirely. Whether that's what KK felt in room 24, nobody can say. But she wasn't having it. You decide what that means. This next video comes from a man named Jorge, and his situation is one of the more unsettling claims you'll come across, because according to him, whatever is haunting him isn't tied to a location at all. It's attached to him personally. He describes it as something that follows him everywhere, something he insists physically attacked him recently, choking him in his own room. So to demonstrate that the haunting travels with him, he set up a camera one afternoon at a park. A completely ordinary outing with a father and a young girl named Amora having a snack at a picnic table, surrounded by bare branch trees in what looks like early spring. Look closely at the tree line in the background.
Dad!
Yes. Oh, what's over there? What's over there? Yeah. Yeah? Yum, 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 yum. Yeah. No. Come here. Come here. Eat that bubble. Eat that bubble.
Dad.
You want to walk? You want to go for a walk? Esta cochita. Esta niña de papi. I got your nose. I got your nose. I got your nose. Oh, give that nose. Give me that nose. Ay, cosita linda de papi. Oh, give me my nose.
Between two tree trunks in the midground on the right side of the frame, there's a dark vertical shape, static, upright, present throughout the entire scene while the father and daughter laugh, eat, and play together at the table. It never moves, it never reacts, but it doesn't disappear either. The narrator believes this is the same entity that he claims attacked him, watching from the woods while his daughter played, completely unaware. And that's where it gets difficult to dismiss, because the shape itself is genuinely ambiguous. Skeptics would say it's a shadow falling between two trunks at a particular angle, the kind of thing your eyes latch onto when you've already been told to look for something. Others think that's exactly how a poltergeist-type presence would show itself, not dramatically, but quietly, at the edge of visibility. The term poltergeist comes from the German meaning noisy ghost, though historically these cases are often tied to a specific person rather than a place, which is exactly what he's describing. The idea that something could attach to a human body rather than a house is a common thread in more extreme paranormal accounts. Now, he's asking the same question he can't seem to answer himself, whether what's watching from those trees is something malevolent, something neutral, or something that might actually be protecting him and his daughter. The footage won't give you a clear answer, but that shape in the tree line standing perfectly still while a little girl laughs in the foreground, you decide what that feels like. This next video was recorded inside a woman's home on the morning of March 30th of 2021, and it starts with something that clearly had her frustrated before she even pulled up the camera. She walks through her hallway and finds a bouquet of artificial flowers lying on the floor, the kind that sits snugly inside a glass mason jar mounted on the wall, the kind that, as she points out herself, wouldn't just fall out on their own. She zooms in to show exactly how secure the arrangement is. The stems tucked firmly into the jar, nothing loose, nothing that gravity alone could explain. And then she says she's gonna pull up her security footage because she knows something else is going on. Watch.
These things, right? This is supposed to be identical to this, but I walk into this shit on my floor, so I'm like, what the fuck, right? And like, you can like see, like if I wanted to, it's not just gonna fall out, like this stuff is in there, you know? So, I'm gonna pull up my camera so y'all can see what I'm talking about.